Alright, let's get started. Let's kick off Jeff Fritz. Oh wait. What? I don't have Chrome running. Hang on. Let me make sure the stream is going. We'll be starting in a moment. Just want to verify the stream is up and looking good. Hey, that looks like it. Verify the stream is up and looking good. Perfect. Alright. Anybody joining us here? Stream elements. Alright. Always good to see stream elements in the house. Alright, let's see. We are going to do a few things today. Our agenda is to work on the adapter design pattern a bit and look at some other open source projects I've got going on. Alright, so let's get this README thing going. And we'll start off with adapter. Let's see. Does this make sense? I don't necessarily want a whole bunch of documentation on this here. Sample implementations of design patterns in C#. I already have a solid one, or a state pattern, so let's link to that one in a separate repo. I was working on some of these patterns, and I decided it made sense to put them all into a single repo, at least any new ones I do. So instead of having a different pattern repo for every one, you might notice I have way too many repositories. I figured it would make sense to kind of put them all in one place. And I don't know that I'm going to move the state one, but it will at least link to it here so you can go to one place to find it. And these will all eventually be alphabetical. Let's see. Maybe we want to list them with resources. Let's do it like this. State design pattern. And then this can be like this. GitHub repo. There we go. Because the adapter design pattern has a Pluralsight course that you can go to, and eventually it'll have a new one, a different Pluralsight course. But for now, let's see. Let me get there as guest so I can get the right URL. For now, you can go out here to find it. And we'll put that in the link as well. Alright, that'll do. And then I think I don't like the structure that this thing has on the disk. So let me fix that with this as well. So the root of my repo has this, which has this. And if you look at this, this is what Visual Studio did by default when I said, hey, create a new solution. It was like, oh, I think you want to have the same name for this thing, 3 folders deep, which I don't actually. So what I would really like is for this all to be up 1. Like this. Which it didn't like. That's because this is open. Sure, save that. That's going to be all goofed up. Let's see, this should now be unneeded, so we'll get rid of that. And this I don't need, get rid of that. And that I don't need because I have that one, so let's get rid of that. And let's move this up one, like I was trying to do. That's better, I think. Now let's see if it actually works. Let's see if we can... I'd like to open it with preview. There we go. Because why wouldn't you open it with the preview? Okay. Now I think I'm ready to do a commit. So I don't know why PowerShell uses that red on blue font that's impossible to read. Do that. And we'll do that. Okay. Now it turns out that this project that I have is an XUnit project, and we want to just talk about the adapter design pattern. I already mentioned that there's this Pluralsight course for it. It's kind of old. If you look at the, I don't think I can play it here. But anyway, if you look at the slides and the video for it, it's not using the latest design that Pluralsight uses. It's also like 4:3 format. It's not HD video quality, so they're looking to revise this. And so my next course with Pluralsight most likely is going to be on the adapter design pattern, and so I need to come up with an updated demo for it. And my demo from way back in the day, I thought I had a folder for it. My demo way back in the day was like a database adapter, which I'm not sure still really applies. That didn't get copied up. Interesting. Let's see. This is the one that goes to that right there, and that adapter. Why is that not shown here? It's right there. Include that. There we go. Cool. So we're going to add a new class. We'll add an XUnit test class if that's a thing. Nope. It's fine. We'll just add a class. We'll call it adapter tests for now. And let's come up with a demo. Anybody got any suggestions in the audience? What would it be a good demo for an adapter be? The thing about doing courses and articles and things, the hardest part for me generally is coming up with the sample. And the sample could be some kind of boring real world thing, like here's an insurance policy object, or here's a a grid renderer for a UI. Or they can try and be fun, and it could be like here's something from a game, or here's something from Star Wars. So for an adapter, a good use case for an adapter is between two systems where you don't necessarily have a lot of control over how the systems are going to interact in the future, or what kind of a plugin might come along later that needs to work with your system. Good examples of this are moving data around. So if you want to be able to say, well, I'd like to be able to save this in a database, or I'd like to be able to save this to a REST API, or fetch it, either way. Those are good examples where an adapter might make sense. So let's say that I have the need to fetch some data of some sort and display it. How about Star Wars characters? I think there's actually a Star Wars API out there that we could use. Let's see, Star Wars Web API. Alright, this Swappy. Try it now. How about just /people? You want me to have /people? No? Request. Result. It says try it now, but it won't let me actually try anything. Alright. I guess I can't just highlight it. Alright. /people. Request. There we go. Look at that. Look at all these people. Okay, so we can do a Star Wars API with something like this. So let's do that. So we'll say this is our first thing. But we're not just going to want to have to use the Star Wars API. We're going to also want to use our own data as well. So let's come back here, and we need a class that needs to use the Star Wars API. Let's say we want to be able to list, and let's just list them in a console writer for now. So we have a public class Star Wars character display service. How about that? And it'll have a public void list characters. And we need to create an HTTP client to go fetch that data. So let's say this is our endpoint right here, /people, like that. So we need to create a new request. So we can do something like, I think there's an HTTP client factory we're supposed to use now. Var factory equals new HTTP client factory. Do I remember that right? Sure, let's install that. Which one of these might I want? Is this for core? Net standard. We try this one. Runtime for web API. I think I want that one. We'll find out. We'll install that. SMAB UK. No help from you on the demo, huh? Alright, let's go back here. There's our HTTP client factory, which I haven't used much. So let's look for HTTP client factory demo 2.1. There's a gist. Create a client, get a result. That looks pretty easy. Thank you, Beachside Project, for code that maybe works. Client is, okay, so we create this client, or this factory rather. No. Didn't actually work. Where's your client at? From services, HTTP client factory. Alright. HTTP client factory. So you're injecting that. I'm not sure that's what I want. Making those. There we go. Console app. That's kind of what I'm doing. Right. Where's the factory? There's the factory. Wow, that got big, didn't it? I'm going to definitely need some helper methods for those. Host builder. Alright, I don't think I need all that. Show me the factory. And this is why building demos takes so long. You know what? I think I might just fall back to using good old HTTP client. There we go. What's this showing me? Client. You're injecting the client from somewhere. Create a host from a host builder. Configure services. Add HTTP client. You never did use a factory that I see. We've seen how to make use of HTTP client factory. No, I didn't. I missed it. Where'd you do it? You didn't do anything with this thing. Is it just magically configured with this stuff? Alright, I'm just going to do this. This is all I need. So, come back in here, we'll skip the factory. Do that. There's our URL, so let's say list characters string URL equals this. Probably want some quotes. You just use new HTTP client. Yeah, me too. But I'm aware of HTTP client factory, and I'm thinking I should learn about how to use it. But I haven't obviously gotten good at it yet. You're lagging by over a minute. I don't think there's anything I can do about that, is there? I don't know. Sorry about that. Alright. JSON convert. I don't want to return that. I want to say I need some kind of model at some point, don't I? Let's create a Star Wars person. Public class person. And we're going to deserialize into a list of person. This result. Result. And this will be var people equals that. Alright, we need that, and we need that, and we need this to be async, so we can await that. We need that to be that. Eventually I'm going to make this thing a constant somewhere, but we're just trying to spike this and get it to work first. Let's look at this API for a moment. I don't need this anymore. This is nice. It gives us a full count right off the bat, next and previous, and then the results. That's a good API practice to wrap your result with metadata like that. It does, however, mean that when I deserialize this, I have to deserialize into the results section, so that's going to make my life a little harder. But let's see. He's got a name and a gender and a home world, which is a link to something, so I don't really need that. So hair color, skin color, let's just do name and gender for now. So public string name get set. I wonder what they do about gender for like droids and stuff. Gender get set. I don't know if they count as people. All the things we're going to learn here. Alright, so this list of characters is going to get this list of person. This is going to blow up because I need to get it out of the result type. Result equals that. This is just going to be a string. That's some JSON. This is going to be some object. Deserialize. Dynamic. And then, how do I get into that result easily without having to create a type for it? If I make that dynamic, then this is not people, this is the results. This is the response object, and it has a result var people dynamic dot result, right? Because it's got a results collection. Maybe we'll see what that does. And then this thing needs to do something with this data. Let's just have it be a string that it returns. And we'll do a return. Let's create a string builder. We'll just do RSB equals new string builder. And then we'll do a for each var person and people. There's probably a one-liner way to do this in link. And let's do this inside of our using so that we have access to that people. Let's do the return up there as well. Like that. And then we just want to append the person's names, I suppose. sb.append line. Person.name. Person.gender. Like that. Okay, so this should be enough that we can write a test for it. And we should be able to build, and it's going to tell me why that's red. Must be a task of string. That's right. because it's async. There we go. Alright, so create our first test method, and we'll say public void list characters should return something. So var service equals new Star Wars. Here's a good tip, by the way. If you have a long class name, just type the first letter of each capital in the thing, like Star Wars character display service, and hit tab. You get that thing, and we'll save our result. This is service dot list all those characters, and we'll assert dot not null. Stop it. Using xunit assert dot not empty. That only works on collections, right? Alright. Not null result. Alright. That needs a namespace. And that was a long time to go without actually... Oh yeah, this is xunit. That's a fact. It's a fact that we're using xunit. You could probably use string.join. Yeah, I was thinking about that instead of this for each. Right. Especially if I can get this to be an array or a list, which I'm sure this is going to blow up right now. So that's my next task, is to get that to work. Let's debug the test and watch it blow up. Don't show me this. Install Roslyn analyzers. Go away. Alright. How did that pass? That was crazy. What do you mean it passed? Did I not call the thing? Let's try this again. I did say debug, so it should have just gone to a breakpoint, right? I blinked and it was gone. Result not yet computed. I think I need to await. So this needs to be an async task. And then this needs to be an await. That'll be better. So one of the nice things about xunit is that it supports async tests, but you have to set them up correctly. So this thing ran, and it basically didn't make the call. It just flew right by it. The task was still doing its thing. And the test passed because it returned back a task, not a null. So it's like, hey, it worked. But not really. Alright, what is this? Wow! Holy cow. It actually worked. That's amazing. Alright, there's a lot of those. We're gonna skip down to here, continue, and step out. What is my result? Oh yeah, there's a whole lot of those. Alright, so that didn't actually work the way I was hoping. It didn't create the person with the properties I wanted. Because this was a dynamic. Let's use a dynamic in this. Well, because I don't really want to create a type for the structure. So it's going to just make it work. And it's going to have a count property, and it's going to have a next property. It's going to have whatever structure this thing has. But it's up to me to try and now turn this into something. So I think the issue where it didn't work out exactly how I hoped is that this name is lowercase. And while JSON convert will assign that for me to my C# type here with the uppercase name, this did not. So it does have... This whole thing, it's dynamics all the way down at this point. I don't have strong typing. So I didn't actually cast it yet into a person type that I can do something with. And so person.name is empty. I think if I do this, it'll probably just work. Let's see, we don't need that or that. Let's just debug the test again. And so dynamic is nice when you when you don't need or don't want strong typing. And so now my result there, you can see it's actually got data in it. All right, but my goal is I want to convert this from this loosely typed string data into strongly typed C# objects. And what I'm not sure of is how to do this step right here into my list. Like I want this to be list of person, really. But I can't do it off of just string result. I've got to do it off of string result dot something. There's a way to do JSON convert off of a sub collection. JSON convert sub collection in JSON. So JSON parse sub collection. I want to get those items, and he says create a whole structure in your C# to support it. Which is not really what I want. You should create some classes. I'm trying to avoid creating some classes. That's my whole goal, is not to have to create those classes. That's from 2012. Serializing, convert. That's not in English. Okay, fine. Maybe I'll create some classes. Alright, so we're going to say that we have a public class API result of T, and this has what, like a count? Public int count and public list of T results. Alright, so now I can come back and say, hey, you know what I'm going to get back is an API result of person. That's not that much code I had to write. We'll see if this works. So this is my people will be results. And then this will be, now this var is actually a person with strong typing. And these now have to be capital name and gender. Alright, so that should work, I think. Build that. Can you return anonymous types? I need to test. Can you assign all the parts at once by assigning a named tuple? I don't know. I don't use tuples very often. Vrukashada, hi. Good to see you again. Can you return an anonymous type instead of a dynamic? Yeah, I could. I think that would work the same. I could deserialize the object with nothing, and I'm not sure what that returns. Let's try this first. Let's see if this works. So we're going to debug this again. Remember, my goal here is just to get some code working that I can then apply this pattern to. So let's go in here. Let's look at our result. Look at that. We got Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, yada, yada, yada. Cool. Okay. So now we have a tightly coupled service that knows how to get this data from one place. And let's say we want to print it out nicely. Let's say we're going to say sb.appendLine name. There's a way to do a string format on this that'll be nicer. So let's do this, and let's do there's a way to pad this. Name dot pad total width pad right. We'll say 20, right? And do this space, and then we'll just do gender. Well, gender doesn't really seem like the most important thing to be including here. We'll probably come back and get like hair color or height or something else, but for now this is working. And then this can use the same dot pad right 20. And of course that should have something like int name width is 20. We can pull that in. like that. And if we add more columns, we'll need to do something there too. Let's do something like that. Alright, so now this should look better when we display it. And right now my displaying is not very good. It's not XUnit's forte, displaying things to the console. But let's turn this one more time, see if it looks a little better. Okay, let's click on this, and then we can do a text visualizer, and look at that. So look, they're NA for their gender. Beru, Weitzen, Lars. I don't know why that's over there. Is that part of her name? Oh, I see what's up here. The padding is off, maybe. So my my text formatting is horrible, but I'll clean that up later, perhaps. Alright, so now we've got this service, and this service has multiple responsibilities, right? It's got a responsibility for knowing how to talk to an HTTP client, and it knows about specifically how to grab this particular type of a result. And then it knows how to format stuff out in some way. And later on you can imagine this could be an HTML formatter or whatever, right? Or Markdown. And these two types can go into other classes at this point. So we'll move these out of here. And this is probably a good spot to commit. So let's come in here, make sure we're not committing anything we don't want to. Hopefully the adapter thing and all of its children will show up. It did. Alright, good. -m, adding initial Star Wars sample. Alright. And we'll push that up. And the reason I want to do a commit there is because when I do this actual demo for the Pluralsight course, I may just start by looking at this, right? And then I'm going to want to refactor it some and then show the next step. This could probably be in its own file as well. That's just my test runner. That's fine. Alright, so now we've got this service, and currently it's tightly coupled, and we would like to have another way to get this data. So let's do a file example. So let me go out to the, let's create a new file, add new item, text file. Somewhere there's a JSON template, but this will be people.json. Alright, and we'll come back out to the Star Wars API, and we'll grab some of this. Luke and Darth and Leia. That's probably good. And we'll put this in here. Alright. And then we're going to say we don't care about a whole lot of this stuff. So we're going to get rid of it. And basically everything down there from films on down. Okay, and so there's our JSON, and these commas can go away, and we'll call that good. Alright, so there's some basic data. Now we can come back in here, and this var people equal that, we can pull that out into a separate method, right? So we could refactor getting the characters from a service or from a REST API and pull that out into its own class. So to do that, do a couple things. First, we need to say that var people equals new list of person out here, and then this just becomes people. But now we can do this. Right, then this whole bit becomes a separate method. So we can do extract method on this. And this is called get people from Swappy. Like that. And that should still do the same thing. But if I want, I could also say people equals await get people from local file. And I don't really need to pass in people. You don't need that. And at this point, that can be just that. And this can come out of there and into here. And we're happy once again. Alright. Let's just generate this. There we go. And now I just need something that'll open up that API and convert it. So let's see if there's any kind of JSON convert for a JSON file out of the box before I start doing system.io stuff. Open local JSON file. Deserialize from a file. File that read all text. There we go. JSON convert. That's all I need is that. Alright. Alrighty, so I don't think that that's necessarily an async operation. And this needs to be current assembly location or something like that. Null paths return a value. This is list of person, which we can just return. Something like that. And this needs another one of those. And just for now, we can cheat and we can grab its whole path and stuff that in here. And we'll figure out how to build that path later. Alright. That should just about work. Task.fromResult will return the right thing, I hope. And so we'll know if this works if, let's see, just do that, and then we can do that, and we'll get to there. Alright, let's run our test. Your file isn't syntactically correct JSON at the moment because you're missing the root. Thank you. Because this thing is expecting to do this API result, and I only pulled in the person, and I'm missing the root. Right. Okay, I don't need the API result, but I do need a collection, right? I need this. Is that good? Smab UK? So now it's an array. I don't need a curly bracket, do I? People.json. Should be reading people.json. What should be reading? Oh, yeah. Why does it person see? Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. Thank you. Alright. This is why pair programming is good. Alright, let's go back over here. Let's just debug our test. Didn't blow up. That's crazy. It's like I know what I'm doing. Look at that, we got our data. Alright, we know it came from the file because we only have those things. Alright, so that's cool. Now we're ready to adapt something. So let's do another commit because we get stuff that worked. So git add read people from JSON file. There we go. Alright, so now I'd like for this service to work with either one of these two things, but they have different interfaces, right? Like in this case, they both return task of person or whatever, but the actual underlying way they do their job is obviously different. So it would be nice if I could create something that would allow me to adapt one to the other. And I could change this to be like a separate service, and maybe it takes in a file name, and this one maybe takes in a URL and some other stuff. So what you want to do for the adapter is, it's very similar to like the repository pattern. You're basically just creating an interface that you can use that'll work for either one. And in my case, my interface is basically going to be something that gives me a list of people from somewhere. Right. Hey, Crows 4K, thanks for joining. And so we want to create some type of an abstraction, and it could be a type, it could be a class. An interface is a type, or it could be an interface. And it just needs to be able to say, hey, I need to get these people from somewhere, in a format that I expect. So in this case, let's make a people data adapter. How about that? So we'll say we have a public class. We'll make it an abstract class even. Abstract class people data adapter. And what does this people data adapter do? Well, it has a method called getPeople that is a public task of list of person, and for now we're going to say it doesn't take anything. Abstract, this should probably be a class, like that. Control KD to reformat things, and this needs to be abstract. Maybe. Is that it? There you go. Okay, so now we've got this people adapter, and instead of having these different private methods on here, we can create separate classes that do these things. So we could have a public class Star Wars API people adapter, which inherits from people data adapter. And this thing will then let me do control dot and implement it. Crows 4K is gifting a sub. Awesome. Thank you. And SmabUK just subscribed. What a coincidence. Alright, so now this get people with the Star Wars API is going to look a lot like this. I'm going to copy this data. I'm going to throw it in here. And then it's going to return people, but that wants to be await, override, async, task. There's the await, there's the return. That should be good. Okay. So now here, when I want to get this from there, instead of that line, I'm going to say var Star Wars adapter equals new Star Wars API people adapter. People equals Star Wars adapter dot get people. Like that. And then I don't need this one anymore. Or this one. Alright, now theoretically, if I did everything right, that'll work. So let's run that test again. Debug it so we can see the result. Boom. And you can see the data. Alright, so that's coming from, it's got Baru in it, so that's coming from the API. So we know that works. So then we're ready to clean this up a little bit. So we don't need this thing anymore. You can see it's gray, nothing's calling it. So our refactoring can complete by deleting it. Alright, now let's do the same thing with the file one. So now we need a local file people adapter. So come down here and do public class local file people adapter for people data adapter. Follow Dallas on Twitter. Oh yeah, hey, that's my bot. My bot works. He's awesome. He always answers my questions. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Let's implement this abstract class, right? And we don't want that. We want this to go in here, like that. And like I said, eventually I'll make it so that this is better. For now, let's do string file path equals that. It's just bothering me that it's wrapping lines like that so much. And this can be that. Or at least now it mostly fits. Alright, so there's my local people adapter. This one can go away. This one goes away as well. And now we say people var, let's see, local adapter equals new file people adapter, people equals local adapter dot get the peoples. Don't need that. And that it didn't like because I didn't await. Alright, so this one isn't really async. I don't know if there's a read all. Is there a read all text async? There's read all text. Hey, there it is. Let's do that. Await read all text. May as well embrace the asynchronous, right? Since we're making use of it. Now I don't need task that from result. I can just return the thing. There we go. That's better. Now we're in proper async code. Alright. But does it work? That's the question. Let's pin this thing over here on the side so I don't lose it. I don't need the test explorer. I'm just debugging. Let's debug that test. Let's see if we get our file result. Cool. This is amazing. I'm not getting any compile errors or exceptions. I'm like in the zone. I should be writing client code instead of just demos. Alright. So that's cool. But now I have to switch between these things by commenting back and forth. So the next step in the adapter, to make the adapter useful, is to be able to use this common type. Right? We want this polymorphism that this people data adapter gives us. And so for that, we want to, well, first we want to pull these things into different types. So into different files. So let's pull this out into a file. Let's pull this out into a file. Let's pull this out as well. Alright, and build that. Build succeeded. Clean up some using statements. And then figure out a way to get this in here. So now it's time to do essentially dependency injection. Right? We're going to create a constructor. We're going to say that this thing takes in a people data adapter. Oh, that's a good name. People data adapter. And then we're going to assign that to a local private read-only field. And we're going to use whatever people data adapter you want to give me, because this method, this list characters method, it doesn't really care where the data comes from, right? And so at this point, we're just going to say var people equal that get people. Alright, now that's great, but our code just broke because we don't actually have one of these adapters here. So we just pushed the problem of coming up with that adapter somewhere else. So this becomes list characters should return something. List characters given Star Wars API adapter should return something. And so now this becomes var Star Wars adapter equals new Star Wars adapter. We'll paste that in there. And we'll get rid of our breakpoint, and we'll copy this whole thing. And we'll do the same thing with the local file. List characters given local file adapter should return something. And this is local file adapter. I probably should have just called that adapter so I wouldn't have to change the name. Alright, now let's see if these tests all run and pass. No, because there were errors. See, I spoke too soon. I knew I would jinx myself. People. This is a tab. Oh, I need to wait there. Happy now? What's the keyboard shortcut to move into their own file? That is just Control Dot. Control Dot is awesome in Visual Studio. It's also Alt Enter if you prefer that, which is more of the resharper key map. But there's a light bulb Like if you, let's say I do something here, like using system, right? It's going to say, hey, that's gray, and it's going to give you this light bulb, right? Right here, Alt-Enter or Control-Dot will pop up the potential fixes. So you can use your mouse. You can just mouse over this, wait, click the light bulb, hit the drop down, click this, right? And it's so painful to watch people do that where they're just using the mouse for everything. Because if you get used to this, you're like, all right, well, I know this thing is here. I'm down here. I see, oh, that's gray. Come up here, Control-Enter, like so fast. Same thing with this, like assigning this thing. If I get rid of this and I get rid of this, typing that out is a real pain. Control dot, I have the muscle memory now where I know it's the second thing, so it's like down arrow, enter. So you don't have to use the mouse. It's just way faster. You can use the mouse, but I would encourage you, like after you use the mouse like 50 or 100 times, realize that it's not going to move, it's going to be in the same place every time, the keyboard's going to be faster. You're welcome, just a viewer. You're not just a viewer, you're my favorite. Alright, let's go over here. Did our tests actually run? I thought I said to run these things. Oh, and then it blew up. Alright. Aw. There we go. It worked. Yay. Okay. So, what did that buy us? Well, it made it so that code that used to be inside of our service, this Star Wars display service, used to know all about how it was getting its data. And so it was violating single responsibility because it had too much data about that. It was violating open-close principle because when we changed where we were going to get the data from, we had to actually change this method to do it. And there were other things where, I wanted to change the formatting of the data. And the formatting of the data is a completely separate concern from where the data is coming from, but they were in the same method, so they were coupled together. Now, if I want to change what the formatting looks like, I can do that all I want right here. How I get the data is not involved in that decision. It's not a part of that. This can go away to finish up that refactoring. With it, go a bunch of other dependencies in here. So now this is only dependent on text and threading, and all of the networky file related stuff is in these other different classes. So that's not a bad demo for Adapter. Now that's a pretty simple version because we started with some code that we wrote, and the things we needed didn't have a lot of difficult dependencies of their own. Where Adapter gets harder is where you've got certain things that those other types might need. So let's commit this, and then let's make it not as easy. So let's do status. Let me see what I got. That looks right. Let's see. Refactor to use abstract base class. Push. Alright. So what would it look like if it weren't quite as easy? Well, let's say that one of these things needed more dependencies or had a different method than the other one. And maybe we don't own it. Like here's the thing. This people data adapter, this is great when I can actually take my class here and force it to use this thing. But what if this is like some third-party DLL that I don't have any control over, and then maybe it's got some nasty dependencies and interface that I don't like. Maybe it doesn't even return data in the same format, like list of person. So let's see what that would look like. So first, let's create that ugly class that we're going to need. So say public class third-party service, and it doesn't implement any interface that we can use. And it has some public list of, I don't know, we'll say person DTO, list characters. And this thing takes in a int count that'll let you pass it. And that's going to need its own public class person DTO. And hang on one sec. Alright, I had to take care of something real quick. Where were we? We're on some person DTO that does not look like what the thing is that we want. We'll have, hey, what did I just do? Come back. There's a mouse over here. We'll have a public string. We're still streaming? Yep. Alright, good. We'll do a public string of something other than name, like character name. And we'll say it's got some public gender.
Sorry, I'm not sure about
Hey
that.
Alexa, I'm not talking to you. And then we'll give it a
Sorry, I thought I heard my name.
hush up. Gender. Not that kind of male. Not applicable. Alright, so let's say all this stuff is in this third-party service. And we'll go add a folder here just to make that cool. Third-party API. And let's pick person DTO first. Control dot enter, put it into there. And we'll move it up here. And then we'll fix the name namespace here. Like that. What happened to my chatty? There it is. Would you use a mod? Okay, sorry, some questions there. SMAB UK, muscle memory is fine, and then they changed the order on one of the items. Yeah, that does happen. When you upgrade from one VS to another. That's annoying. But after the first few times, you figure it out. Let me finish copying this while I'm thinking of it, and then I'll get back to that. Here we are. I'm going to pull these two things out of here into here. The reason I'm pulling them over here first is because then when I do control dot, they're going to go into the right namespace in the right folder. So it's just saving me from having to move things around later. Now they're all in the right place and they all have the right namespace. And the reason I want the namespace to be different is to make it obvious when I'm looking at the demo that, you know, theoretically this is in a separate NuGet package that you don't have control over, and you can't just arbitrarily, you know, have this thing use some base type or class that you want. Is there a VS Live Share link? Let's code now. Would that help? I could create one. I've only ever done that when I have someone specific that I'm working with, but we can try it. Currently, okay. Sure. If you want to follow along, we'll copy the invite link and we'll throw it here, and you should be able to see at that point yourself. Let's make it read-only. Theoretically, it's read-only. How about that? Great. Alright, misspelled third party. How did I misspell third party? Third party. That looks right. Third party. That does not look right. That's right. So it's in the namespace. Well, it's a good thing I didn't just copy that namespace to 3 different places. Oh, you people, and you're catching things too late to help me. Alright, there we go. Thank you, SMABK, for catching that. That would have just ruined the whole demo. Alright, here we go. So we're going to steal the data that was in here, the code rather, but we're going to make it uglier. So it matches this other format that we don't want. So instead of list of person, this will be a list of DTOs, and this will still be an HTTP client, and this will still be a JSON convert. Control dot is the thing I'm doing here again to get all these namespaces. Really? Okay, you're good. Cannot convert to that. And we don't have an API result. Well, I can, well, should I reuse my API result? No, I should use a different API result. So let's get this out of here. And we'll put it up here as well. And it really doesn't have to be generic. It could be person DTO API result. Right? Which returns back a list of person DTO. There we go. And then this becomes that. Right? Okay. Now this count we want to use somewhere. So we're going to go fetch this thing. I don't think the API necessarily has a way to actually pass in that count, does it? Is there a way for me to restrict the count? Result people count equal 5? Request? You don't care. Yeah, you don't support that. Alright, so I have to do the count on my side. So I can just say people dot take count, right? List of people dot take dot to list. Why don't you like that? That's why. Do I need the to list? Because you're going to return just an enumerable. Yeah, so I need. Well, I need either a cast or a to list. The to list is not necessarily as efficient, but I know it'll work, so let's just do that. Alright. Benefit of writing demo code. Okay, so now we've got this ugly service. And I want to be able to adapt it, right? So now I'm going to create a third-party adapter. So public class third-party API adapter. And it too can use my people adapter, but it's going to be more of a wrapper around something else. So let's put this in its own thing. And come over here, and this third-party API adapter internally will do all the work of translating from a third party into my type that I want. So I could inject into it this other service, or I could just new it up. I think I'll just new it up. No, that's not what I want. So var third party service equals new third party service. Control dot to get the namespace, like that. Var result equals third party service dot list characters async with some count. And here's the thing: my interface doesn't take a count. I'm expecting to always have a certain thing. So in this case, I need to decide what makes sense. Now it could be that the third party API, maybe when hey look, somebody's watching. JA, welcome. It could be that the thing will accept a 0 and have 0 be, all of them, right? I didn't implement it that way, but I could. We could come in here and say, if count is greater than 0, then apply the take. And that wouldn't be that unusual. Let's put this in its own thing. In which case, my adapter around it, this third-party adapter, would just pass it a 0. Since I don't have that, I could just pick some arbitrary number. I could do max int. It doesn't really matter. Let's just say we're gonna hard code it to be 100, and I probably want that to be some kind of a const, right? So this could be a public const int. What is it? I don't know. Count, max count, character count, result count. How about max result count? Naming things is hard. Do that, and we'll just take that and drop that in here. All right. So part of the API's job, part of the adapter's job in this case, is to adapt my local needs to this third-party thing that doesn't use the same assumptions or API that I'm expecting. And sometimes I'm going to have to make things up. I'm going to have to figure out what can I pass it to make this work. This is async, spelled correctly, like that. All right, so then this can be an await there. And remember, this is pulling back this list of DTOs. So this var is a list of person DTO, which is not the thing I want. So then I can do something like return new return result dot select. We'll use some link here. DTO such that new person name equals DTO dot character name and gender equals DTO dot gender dot toString. Now that may not give me the exact same data that I have now, and in fact I'm not even sure that this this enum is going to work the way I would like it to, but that's kind of what I would do, and it might be I might need to put some kind of more effort into this mapping here to get that gender to do. Cache invalidation, naming things, and off by 1 errors. That's right. Crow's 4K. Alright, now equals that. Why are you red? Cannot implicitly cast enumerable. Oh, right. Now I need a toList. So where's the end of my select? Right there. Dot toList is your friend. Unless you like efficiency. But if you just want code that compiles, toList is your friend. Alright, build succeeded. I don't know what that's going to do. Let's see what this actually looks like. I suspect when it tries to deserialize into this gender enum that it's going to blow up, but we'll see. Maybe it's really smart. So I need another test for a third-party API, right? So we'll go here, and we'll say that our adapter, we'll be smart and just say adapter this time, equals new third-party API adapter, like that, like that, and this character is given third-party API adapter. There we go. Should do something. Can we build? We can. Can we see what the result's going to be? Here. There. Debug. That is an old joke, but a good one. Francas. Yeah, I didn't like that at all, did it? What did it do? Error requested. NA was not found. Error converting type NA to adapter third-party API gender. Okay, so there's some way to do that. Let me just Google for that real quick. This may not be worth my time, but I do want to make it hard on purpose, right? So JSON convert into enum value. There we go. I need one of those. JSON converter. Use the JSON converter. Okay. Are you standing? Yes. Earlier I was walking, but I decided to stop. JSON sample entity, JSON. I think I just need that. Right. So come in here, and we'll say that this DTO needs one of these, and it's a gender converter, I guess. And then that's that. And then I need that converter, which is going to look like this, but smaller. Right, so we'll stick that right here. And this is going to be a gender converter. This is going to be gender status message transport. No, it's just gender. Gender equals gender value. That's the value. Switch on gender. Please do this. Okay, was a standing desk worth it? Sometimes I get pain thinking about getting a standing. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Let me pull up my article I wrote about it from a while ago and paste that in this thing. All right, so this is basically my setup here, although this is from a long time ago in my house. But this is what I've got as one of these lifespan things. I got mine on Craigslist, so it wasn't as much as if you click this link, it's probably over $1,000. Which for a desk and a chair is not that crazy. The size of the desktop is pretty big. It's pretty nice. So I like that, and I mean it's comfortable. It's got the wrist pad here. Let me see. I can adjust the camera. I'll regret this later, but you know, here's the setup. There's back here. There's the treadmill down there. So, and right there is a chair, right? So when I get tired, I just sit on that chair, and it works fine. So that works. All right. So let's get back to trying to deserialize this thing. Really, I just want this, right? And then I just need to make sure that because what is this doing? This is writing JSON. I don't even need to write JSON. That's just going to be a not implemented exception right there. Write JSON. It's going to be writer.writeValue enum.toString. Right. I don't need that. No, I do need that. Gender, and then writer.writeValue gender.toString. Let's say, right? Do that. All right, read JSON is the one I care about, and this one is going to say enum.parse type of gender, and that's all I need, right? Now I just need to make sure that these match, and I need some kind of a name or something on this so that not applicable. The problem is not applicable is not going to match up with, where's my bots? Where's my droids? That. So how do I match n/a? I maybe have to put in, where is it? Shoot, lost it. There it is. Convert, read, enum string, reader.value. Okay, there's my string. So I can say if enum string equals n/a, return gender dot not applicable, otherwise do the other thing. That should work, right? Alright, so now we're going to move that to its own type and see if this actually works. Everything built, here's our test. We're going to debug this test and see what blows up this time. Something blew up. Null ref. Null ref. That's not cool. Line 24. Alright, so person was probably null. Let's debug a little closer. And then let me get my chat back up here. Alright. Does walking not interrupt your focus or thought process? Sometimes I think better when I'm walking. If I'm sitting just for hours, it can be easy to get restless and uncomfortable. When I'm walking for a while, I can get uncomfortable too, but I can stop, I can stand, I can walk faster, I can walk slower, I can grab my chair and I can sit. So like it gives me the ability to adapt to however I'm feeling. Sometimes just getting up and going for a walk is the best thing you can do to clear your head. Not necessarily at your desk, right? Maybe out in the neighborhood, but when you come back, your subconscious has figured out how to solve the problem you were stuck on. Alright, so people with a count of 10 has a male with a name of null. Ah, name is null. That's not good. Why is name null? Alright, that helps. Let's go find that out. So it wasn't gender that's our problem now. It's this guy. And there's my third-party service. There's my adapter. Name is dto.character. Oh, I know why. Because character name is not what the thing is actually called on the API, so it's not going to do that. So how do I map JSON convert? JSON convert map property to different C# property. Is that a thing, or do I have to do something else? How about that? JSON property. I can do that. I don't usually like attributes like this, but for this one-off demo thing, I can totally get behind it and just say, you know what? JSON property is name. And that is, in fact, what the thing is right there. Alright, so let's try this again. And come back here, debug our test. We'll hit the other breakpoint. Yeah, I've never written a JSON converter before in my life until just now, but that's the power of Google, so it was nice. Alright, so that beeping you hear is the treadmill desk starting up, and we'll just walk a little bit because I'm getting tired of standing still. So I've been told, by people on YouTube at least, that it's annoying and distracting to see me like bouncing around here while they're trying to watch the video. So if that's the case, I apologize. I hope I don't make you sick. And if enough people tell me that they hate it, I'll turn off my camera or stop doing it. But this is also just a demo for Frank, that it's not a big deal. I can still type and stuff. Yeah, there's trolls, there's haters. That's life. Alright, so here we are. Let's look at this people. There's still 10 of them. There's still each one of them a person, but now look at that, they have names and stuff. So let's get rid of this breakpoint. Let's continue. Let's look at our result, and look at that, looks good. All right, so this assert not null is like the weakest test ever. Eventually I'll make that a better test, but for now, that works. We could do something like a contains. Let's fix that now because that's bugging me. So assert dot, there's got to be a string contains, isn't there? I'll just say assert dot true result dot contains string value Luke Skywalker. Right? And if we run this test, it's going to tell me there's a better way to do this. Use assert contains. I was trying that. Does that work? When I did assert contains, the IntelliSense told me it was for collections. I always forget it works for both. Alright, so I don't need the not null if I've got a Skywalker one. And with that, I think I've also got Darth Vader as a separate one, so we'll do slightly better test if we include those two things. Run a test. Makes it feel like I'm getting some exercise. What, watching me? Yes, it's burning off more calories for you to watch me walk. Alright, so here's that, there's that, there's that. Let's build that and run those tests. Alright, now here's the other thing we can do. If you notice, these tests are not very dry, right? This is the same in each one. So what we can do is we can do an extract method on our tests as well and pull those out. And we'll say something like call list characters and assert contains expected characters, right? And we'll do that. And we'll pull this thing out of each one. Now, a lot of people are perfectly fine to pull out helper methods in their tests for the setup, right? But a lot of times they forget the fact that you can actually do it for your assertions as well, or for your act, right? If you're doing a range act assert. So that works just fine too. So now I can take this helper method, and usually I like these to be at the bottom. I don't know why, but because all the tests are calling it, it usually goes down there. Yeah, so Frank, what we're doing here is I'm just working on a demo for the adapter pattern here on this GitHub repo. And so I've got a Pluralsight course that talks about it. I'm going to be doing an update to that course, and I'm going to need a demo for that update. So, you know, that's what I'm doing. This is going to be, expect to see this at some point in a future Pluralsight course as the demo. Yeah, this is a long name, but when I read this in a test, I know exactly what it's doing, right? I could probably get rid of this and just say and assert, right? But or assert correct or something smaller. But it's very clear what it's doing here. Test names are long to describe them properly. Yeah, right. So I think maybe you're okay with these being long, and you're concerned that this private method is long, and I could maybe see that. But I like the fact that it says very clearly what it's doing. So and you see it. I only ever type it once, because after that it's either cut and paste or it's autocomplete. So I don't have to worry about how long it is. As long as it's not like wrapping off the screen, it's fine with me. Okay, so with that, we can come back in here, run all our tests one more time, and we're all good. So there we go. Anybody have any questions about the adapter pattern or when we would use it? So the thing about this third-party adapter, and this is something I'll make the point of in the course, is that this is an approach you'll use when you don't own the underlying code that's doing the work. So in the first example, I owned all the code, so I could create my own common base type, and then this people data adapter, and then I could force this code into my adapter, right? And so in that case, it's almost a misnomer that this is an adapter. I mean, it's not really adapting; it's doing the work, right? It's an actual implementation. Whereas this third-party one, this one's truly an adapter because it's not doing anything, right? It's calling something else to do the work, and then it's adapting how to call it, and it's adapting how to deal with the result back into my local version of things. And so this is more of the true adapter pattern, but I wanted to do the other one so you kind of see how you get there. SMAB, in the past when names used to be truncated down, you'd end up with weird conflicts you didn't expect, and you don't have that problem anymore. Sure, if you had really short names, or if you were using you talk about really old programming languages where your max length was 8 or 12 characters. All right. Any other questions or comments or anything? We got about 40 some minutes. I'm gonna see about looking at either another pattern or let's do a commit on this while I'm thinking about it. Refactor push. You am old. Yeah, I am old too. Alright. Very informative. Thank you, favorite viewer. Alright. Anything I need to add to the README? I didn't try and move it. But oh, that's not good. Let's try re-adding it. There we go. Now I'm going to have to commit that solution file. Really? That's weird. Nothing to commit, right? Nope. Alright, well. Maybe it was just in my .suo file that's not part of Git. Okay. The adaptive design pattern. Do I want to say anything about it here? I don't have a new course yet. I don't have a blog post. I guess I don't have anything else to say about it. So, next thing I wanted to do, actually, is go look at some open source stuff and see what I can clean up there. Frank, I've been crunching down a lot of theory and want to start and finish a proper project, thinking about a Discord bot, an API wrapper for C#. Also want to start putting stuff on GitHub. I definitely recommend putting stuff on GitHub. And if any of you are not on social media, hopping on Twitter and avoiding any topics that you don't want to get into, but just following people that you know there and participating in the discussions from time to time can be very helpful. You can ask questions there. If you post something on Stack Overflow and you think, hey, this is something that John Skeed or Julie Lerman or Steve Smith or whoever would maybe know the answer to, you can message people occasionally on Twitter, and you're probably not bothering them too much. If they're busy, they'll ignore you, but if they're not, maybe they'll retweet it and somebody else will be able to answer your question, or maybe they'll actually go look at it themselves. So using social media as a networking tool is definitely something that I would encourage you to do earlier rather than later in your career, even if all you do is just lurk and watch at first. And GitHub is basically a social media platform, right, at the end of the day. So that's why I bring that up. So if you come in here, more so than LinkedIn right now, I think, for developers, GitHub is a place where you can showcase what you're working on. So when you come in here, you can customize these pins. So you could say, like, hey, here's the projects that I'm working on. If you just are starting, there's only going to be like one, so it's not a big deal. But if you have a bunch of these and you want to showcase for a potential employer or client, the projects that you're most proud of, you can use this customized thing to put them on front and center up here. That's about all I know. So let's go. Let's see if we can find some issues to fix. Let's look at guard clauses real quick. So guard clauses, there's an issue. Guard against default from February. I thought we added this already. I think I can clean this up. Do you want to submit a PR? Guard against default. I thought we did that. There it is. Add guard against default. Okay. Done. Look at that. That was so great. Open source is so easy sometimes. Alright, let's go find smart enum. Let's see if we've got anything here. This one's got 6 issues. So some of these have help wanted, like this one. Actually, that's, yeah. It says merged. Yep, you're still a minute behind, SmabUK. Alright, published NuGets are not strongly named. I'm not going to deal with that right this second. Smart enum extensions is smart enum returns false if it's abstract. Should it? No, if it's an instance. Okay, misunderstood the purpose. Social handling. I think I can close this. I'll just say Almeida was correct. Almeida is correct. Closing. There we go. Alright, eventually we'll find one of these we're actually going to write code for. But part of what I like to do on my streams occasionally is just get caught up on my open source work. Equality is not useful when instantiated with EF6. This is from almost exactly a year ago, so maybe is not still relevant, but let's see. Just trying to store a value of smart enum in the database using my article from there. Okay. Let's hope to be able to have handy equals provided there. EF6 doesn't set the name, only the value. And equals is testing name and value. Yeah, we went back and forth on this repo on whether to use name and value or not. And that was here. So that happened. Should only check the value. And then this, I thought, fixed it. So, how does EF deal with C# enums with the same values? I have no idea. I'm not sure that was a thing you needed to deal with. So I think this is closed. I think this is resolved. Reopen if you need to. So we'll do that. We'll politely close this and clean up my issue list. Alright. Alternative implementation from last August. Name of like this. Did that. It works. Alright. Let's see. Main example page by this. Message type enum. I should probably back up for a moment and explain what smart enum is for those of you that don't know. So smart enum is basically a way to use classes instead of enums, and the reason why you would want to do this is that sometimes you need more than an enum provides. An enum is a very primitive type. It's really just a simple label on a primitive, on an int typically, and at a minimum, sometimes you want to have like a name that you can display that has spaces in it, right? Or maybe you need more than that. Maybe you have actual methods you want to call on this enum. And so what smart enum does, if you inherit from this smart enum of t, where t is your type, it lets you have enum behavior, but on an actual class. And so you can list them out and use them for anything you would use an enum for, but you can also give them additional properties. So they could have names and values, but they could also have descriptions and other things, right? So employee type might be tied to a bonus size that is implemented by the individual things. So the manager type gets one value and a assistant gets another. You can also use it for a state machine. So your enums, very commonly enums are used for statuses, right? So you might have a status like reservations are new or accepted, paid, canceled. You can implement all of that through this smart enum and have a boolean for can transition to this other type, and you could use that to drive your UI, so it can only show buttons or whatever that let them transition to types that are allowed, for instance. So This is on NuGet. It's been downloaded 39,000 times. It's got tests that they're all passing, which is great. And that's what we're looking at. So when we look at this issue for this, and he says that he's going to use caller member name in the constructor. What he's going to let that do is change. Oh, I see. If we don't pass in the string, he's going to automatically infer it. So instead of using name of 1, he's going to use caller member name, and it'll get 1. So if we go back one more time to the home page, and we look at this example here with name of 1, caller member name should be this 1 here, and that should work. SmabUK, I don't like the idea of fixed indexes by number. I'm assuming you're referring to something I was showing here, but I'm not sure what. Alright, so the question is, does it hurt anything to implement that caller member name? So he didn't give me a pull request, he just asked a question, and I didn't ever get around to looking at it. And he also did this. Oh, and he's just incrementing the numbers like that. Okay. So if you don't care what the numbers are, you can just increment. That works too. What do you say? So we'll say we're looking at this now. I like caller member name. And don't see a problem with that. The I++ trick should work as well until you change the order of your initialization of your enum values. As long as you never do that, it'll be fine. Alright, so we'll add that. How old is your ASP.NET architecture book? Still relevant? Yeah, it's still been updated. It's assuming you're talking about this one. This one right here, Architecting Modern Web Apps. It's for ASP.NET Core. How old can it be? But yeah, it's been updated for 2.2. So if you go out here, you can actually view it all online or download the PDF. I think that link's probably grabbing the PDF. Yeah. So it'll take you out to Microsoft and it'll pull down the PDF, but it's updated for 2.2. I will have an update for 3.0 in the next few months, I suspect. I'm working on a different book for Microsoft right now. When that's done, I will come back around to updating this one. By then, 3.0 will probably have shipped, because that's coming out next month. And then the 3.0 version of eShop on Web will happen. This is being slow, but that's fine. So eShop on Web is the sample here that goes with that book. Look, there's that book. This is updated for 2.2. It's being updated regularly too, so I just did an update to it 4 hours ago, in fact. Yeah, SmabUK says 3.1 should come in November. So yeah, so I will get this updated to 3 soon. You can see right now it says it's 2.2. And then the book will be updated at the same time. I could try a name for 3.1. That's a good idea. Alright. So let's look at this caller member name. I think that's a good idea. So I don't know if I have code for smart enum locally. So let's grab that. And like I said, he didn't give me a pull request, so it's on me to implement this. Unless one of you wanted to do a pull request real quick, but I don't think you're going to be that quick. Because I'm going to do it right now. So we're going to clone my repo here. Now, if you wanted to do this yourself, and you wanted to contribute to someone else's project, all you would do is fork it right here first, and then you would do what I just did. You'd do a git clone, but you wouldn't clone mine. You would clone yours, right? So instead of Ardalis smart enum, you would clone your name smart enum. Then you'd go in there and you'd do the work. Alright, so I'm going to come in here, we'll go open up the smart enum project. Sure. Maybe that's why that commit wasn't there, is because I never saved it. That would explain it. Alright, so this doesn't need to change. I think it's just the sample that needs to change. So where's my sample? Is it testinum? Maybe? Name of instance testinum. Testinum, right there. Yeah, alright, so here's my name of, and this is where he would say caller member name. Let's go back to that issue and look where his code was. Here. Message type enum. From the main page example. Alright, do I have a message type enum? No. So he must be copying his code. I submitted an issue for the templates not working on mobile and was surprised it ended up in a 3.1 milestone. Yeah, I think, well, they're locked down for 3.0, so depending on how recently you did that, there's no way it was going to make it in 3.0. Crows 4K. I'd like to learn the core of language, and I'm having a feeling I'm missing something, like how everything bundles up, or how things work. Any recommendations of what I should read? The core of what language? C#? .NET? ASP.NET Core? English? I'm not sure I understand the question, the initial question. C#. Okay. There's some Pluralsight courses on C#. There's some books on C#. There's C# in depth. I don't know if you can see that, but it's on my bookshelf right behind me. Yeah, there it is. So John Skeet's got C# in depth. There's a few other good C# books out there. Bill Wagner's got a couple good C# books. C#'s been around for a long time, so there's lots of material on C#. I actually have an intro C# ebook that I haven't shipped yet, so I need to get on that. It's got like 20 simple chapters that maybe it would help you. So if you email me, I'll send you a copy of the current draft PDF if you want. ASP.NET Core, again, there's Pluralsight, there's docs. Docs.asp.net has lots of docs on that. I have a course on DevIQ that's like $50. You can check it out. It's for 2.x, 2.1 maybe. I don't know. It doesn't get very much traffic. Pluralsight's definitely got more eyeballs. But this ASP.NET Core Quick Start I did a while back, and it's got a couple previews here, so you could watch the previews of these two things. The startup chapter is actually really good, so not to brag, but it's good for new people to learn if they want to see how ASP.NET Core works, because startup is totally different from ASP.NET previously. So check this out so you can see how ASP.NET Core like bootstraps itself and launches, because that's key to understanding a lot of the plumbing and underlying stuff in ASP.NET Core, I think. And then the whole thing is that long, right? 9 chapters. So some people like it. It says there's 6 reviews. I only see a few. I'm pretty sure there were some haters. Were there any haters? No. Alright. So, looks like everybody mostly liked it. Alright. So, check that out. Shoes on 333. Thank you for the follow. Alright, let's see. I just think I need to do that to get the name, right? On the constructor of my type. So let's go back here. Test enum right there, right? So if I do caller member name there equal null there, control dot on that, and the problem is that it can't be in the sequence, right? Int value can't be at the end unless I give it a default, which I could maybe do. So he cheated and he put int value first. He didn't cheat, but he fixed that issue that way. if I just give this a default value, that's not really going to help me, I don't think. I think I do want to switch the order. So we'll do that here as well. Alright. Now these all break. 1, 2, 3, name of 1, 2, 3. I'm curious if I do this, will my test still pass? That. And that. Alright, so that should build, right? Build succeeded. And then let's see if our tests run. I like caller member name, so I think this is a good addition. I'm not sure why my run all tests button is not showing up there. Let's try that now. This project's nice because it's got so many tests. Alright, so that all works. So that gives me confidence that this thing is working. So, let's check it in. Or we can make a pull request. Pull request is probably good. So let's do a git checkout to a new branch called caller member name, and we'll do a git add dot dash m modify test enum to use caller member name, and then push that up. Yeah. Alright, so that's up there now. Now we can do, so that was number 24. Let's create a new pull request. Compare. Do that. Fixes. Number 24. That'll reference and close that other issue. Create pull request. There it is. It's got a build that's going to go with it, so I'm going to wait for that build. Let's see if we can go see that build in action. So if you're not using a CI, CD, I encourage you to do so. If you want to see how it works, you can do it with a GitHub open source project. Just anything. Like, it just be some stupid thing that you create and you just want to see how it works. Create an Azure pipeline here. And here's my builds. And here's the one I just did, right? Modify test enum to use that. We can click on here and we can see here's what it's doing. And it's just now starting to build. Build server is nice because it makes sure that your code runs somewhere else, right? It doesn't really matter where else. As long as it runs on one other machine, then it'll probably run on lots of other machines, right? But if you never ever try and run your code except on your machine, then it's very likely that you will accidentally have some setting, some installed program, some type of hidden dependency that allows it to run on your machine that you installed and you forgot about, and it won't work on anybody else's machine but yours. And so even just having a build server to just build your code and verify, yes, it can run on some other machine. And in this case, this is a brand new machine, right? This hosted agent, every time, it's starting from zero, right? So it's it could be a Linux box, could be a Windows box, but it's a brand new vanilla server that installs just the things it needs. In this case, it's installing all the NuGet packages and things, and then tries to run your code. So I do this for everything. Well, everything that's not trivial. I didn't have a build set up for the adapter thing, although I might at some point. I definitely will, now that I think about it, because that's not just going to be the adapter, it's going to be a bunch of different design patterns. Okay, so everything succeeded. It's skipping the publishing step because I didn't increment the NuGet package version. So if I had incremented the NuGet package version, and if I'd come out to... Where'd it go? Oh, that's right. I clicked into this and didn't do it in a new tab. So anyway, if I come into my releases tab here and I add a new release, then when I kick off a build, it will actually publish this out to NuGet for me. But I'm not doing that right this second. So for now, we can come back to our pull request, and look at this one we're just working on. And it says now all checks have passed. What package? This is the Ardalis Smart Enum package, of course. Let me merge that. Confirm. If I go back out to, let's see, we'll delete the branch, we don't need it anymore. Come back out here to the home page. This is the NuGet package right here, ardalis.smartenum. Alright. Current version 1.08, which is interesting because my version that was on over here on my releases was 1.06. So I must, maybe that's not how I'm doing it on this one. Maybe this one's done off of the project file. Let's check. Smartenum project file. This will be 1.08? Yeah, that's 1.08. So that's what's driving it. So if I update this 1.08 here to 1.09, then it'll generate a new NuGet package. Fitluder. Watch Me Code is now following. Thank you for the follow. Alright, so we cleaned up that issue. I noticed there's this other pull request out here. Let's take a look at this. Special requirement EF is time consuming. That's from June. Let's see. If you want to use Smart Enum to deal with the above mentioned problems every time, a huge amount of properties with special requirements. See, I haven't run into this. That's part of why I didn't look into this, because his premise didn't resonate with me. You have to do this every time you're using an enum in an entity. Okay. This aims to eliminate the hassle and provide a convenient way for configuring all of the smart enums at once with a single line of code. So we're going to go into Model Builder and configure all the smart enums, and we'll be good. Alright, so update the README, right? You did that, updated the README. Some more commits. Add more commits. Only thing I'd change before merging, can we not put SQLite into the unit test project? Instead, create an integration. Okay, and he never did that. So let's update. So the question is, do I want to do that? Not in the next 11 minutes, 10 minutes, because I'm running out of time. But that's something I might still come in for, or let's see, I can label this good first issue, help wanted. Those are easy. So if anybody on the stream wants to contribute to this open source project, in fact this guy himself is a first time contributor to this project. He's probably done other GitHub commits before, I'm guessing. But he's first time for Smart Enum. Here's all that we need to have happen. Is right now this this pull request adds a bunch of tests that use SQLite. And if we look at this code here, I have a unit test project, and the unit test does not have dependencies on any kind of database stuff, right? Because they're unit tests, they don't talk to a database. If any of you would like to come and fix up this pull request, so I'll merge it, all you need to do is create a new project and move his stuff that uses a database into a smartenum.integration tests project, and that would be it, right? And then you'd be done. So let me know. If you just add a comment on here and say, hey, I'll do this, then we'll know that you're doing it and we'll leave you alone. Alright, so let's see any other issues here that we want to deal with. Some of these are kind of old. Not data contract friendly from Omicron. That's the same guy. It was help wanted. This one added WCF support. Are you planning to do state design pattern next week? I just did state design pattern last week, didn't I? Or 2 weeks ago? I thought I did state design pattern recently. Let me check. Have you checked my YouTube? YouTube.com. YouTube. No, that's not it. YouTube.com or Dallas. Didn't we do state pattern sometime? I swear I did. Clean architecture, code coverage updates. Turn that off. Clean architecture. Clean architecture. What is that from? Yeah, that's last week. Dealing with trying to get it to build. No. No, maybe I didn't. Oh, I know what it is. I did it with a client, and I did it with another group I'm in. So maybe I didn't do it on my stream. Yes, if you want to talk state design pattern, we can talk state design pattern next week. That's easy enough. Assuming I didn't do it last week. Because last week what I ended up with... Yeah, at the end I was doing stream bot stuff. Right? Yeah. And then this is me trying to find somebody to raid. Alright. Sure. We'll do state design pattern. I'll even say it right here. Sure, let's do that next week. And if anybody wants to learn or follow along, I already have a state design pattern. Well, it's linked from the other design pattern one, right? So in here, design patterns. There's my link right there. And here's the state pattern that we'll look at. Alright. Done with that. Our build succeeded there. Let's see. This added WCF support. I think that got merged in and done, right? That's from a year ago. I think it just never got associated with the thing. Looks like... Alright, closing... Alright, so he just closed this. This never actually got done. Check and see. Looks like... Needs resolve. It should work. Alright, well if it works then we're going to close the other thing. The person that's saying it was fixed, this Raleigh Buckner, is not the guy that opened up this, but that's why I will say reopen it. Alright. That's done. Issues. Missing NuGet packages. That was from earlier this year. Tried to install, but other stuff was missing. Needed to figure out how to bundle the package, which I just haven't gotten around to doing. I need to just dedicate a whole stream to just figuring this out. Right. Someone else is getting hit by that too. So, I think I threw a help wanted label on here and hoped somebody would assist, but nobody else has jumped up to do so. So, I've got to spend some time on that. I don't know how to... I'll assign myself. There we go. We'll get to that sometime. And strongly naming, that one's another one I gotta get to. I'm open to this, blah blah blah. Yeah, I gotta figure out how to do that. So maybe dealing with these two issues will be a stream I'll do sometime soon. Alright, with that, let's see who's on. Let's go see that. This should show me if there's anybody I know that's on. Oh wait, you know what? We've got our coders team, twitch.tv/team/live coders. Let's see who's on that. Clark Yo. Oh, Ed's still on. I wonder if Ed's gonna be on long. He usually ends about the same time I do. Nick Larson. README has a spelling mistake. Tippet. What? No. Which README? Well, Ed usually ends right about now. If I send you over to Ed, he'll probably leave. It's not that README. Maybe it's the Smart Enum README? There we go. So, alright, somebody could do a pull request for that, but I'm gonna be too quick for you. No, it's not there anymore. What? How's it not there? Okay, just the other search can't find it. Typically. There we go. Typically. Thank you, Smab UK. Done. Alright, Ed Charbonneau sounds like a winner. Live coders, Clark Yo. That's neat. I didn't realize that loaded him right in here. He's still going. So sure, let's do Ed. He's working on Blazor stuff, I'm sure. So raiding Ed Charbonneau, and then I'll hop over there and say hey. Ready to raid soon. 14 viewers. Alright, everybody. If you're in the US, have a nice holiday weekend. I'll be back on hopefully next Friday. If you found this helpful, feel free to follow. And I'm going to join you over on Ed's stream here for a few minutes. And I'll talk to you later. Thanks.